Hello everyone! Today's episode brings one of the most satisfying moments ever. A peaceful picnic turns upside down when Mai suddenly shows up, ready to cause trouble. But she never expected Alex's mother to stand up and shut her down so hard that even we were speechless. If you love seeing the villain get exactly what she deserves, stay right here. This moment is for you. And tell me in the comments, did Mai deserve it? Don't forget to subscribe for more. It was a calm weekend morning, the sky soft and clear, sunlight warm enough to make anyone want to leave the city for a day. After everything that had happened, Alex made a decision. Today, he would take his mother, Lytuna, and Henry on a small family trip. Nothing extravagant, just a peaceful getaway to breathe fresh air and be together. "Mom, are you ready?" Alex asked, car keys in hand, excitement glowing in his expression. Mrs. Puang smiled, her face gentler after recovering, her voice warm but steady. "With my grandson, with you, with Lytuna, I can go anywhere." Just then, Lytuna stepped out of the house carrying Henry and a basket of snacks. But what caught everyone off guard wasn't the basket. It was Henry. Henry was wearing a full-body cow costume, floppy ears, tiny tail, and a hat with little horns. Every time he moved, the tail bounced like it had a life of its own. "Oh my God, my little cow," Alex laughed, gently rubbing the boy's head. "Are you ready to go out and play?" Henry let out a moo, not because he knew how to say it, but because he accidentally stepped on the little sound button attached to the outfit. Everyone burst into laughter. They loaded into the car and drove toward an eco-park outside the city. The road was shaded with green trees, the breeze cool through the window. Henry sat in the middle seat, wide-eyed at the scenery, looking like a baby cow discovering a brand new world. When they arrived, Alex spread out a picnic blanket, Mrs. Puang prepared snacks, and Lytuna unpacked food, while Henry tried to chase his own shadow on the grass. "Henry, don't eat the grass, okay?" Lytuna laughed as she scooped him up before the little cow could actually munch on anything. Mrs. Puang watched from the side, her gaze softer than the sunlight. She remembered the early days when she first met Lytuna, distant, cautious, unsure. But seeing the young woman now gently wiping sweat from Henry's forehead, her heart eased without her realizing. Alex stepped back a little, taking in the sight of the three of them, a moment that felt like a painting, a complete family picture. They ate, played, joked, took photos. Henry waddled around the grass, cowtail swaying happily behind him. Everything was perfect. So perfect that no one expected the moment to be interrupted. Clack, clack, clack. The sound of high heels slicing through the peaceful field. Alex turned. His smile faded instantly. Mai, dressed in a tight dress, heavy makeup, high heels completely mismatched with the natural setting. She walked in as if she had been invited. Her smile stretched, but her eyes were already scanning for trouble. "Oh, what a coincidence," Mai said sweetly. "I was just passing by and saw Alex's car, so I thought I'd drop in." Lytuna instinctively stepped back, holding Henry closer. The baby, who had been giggling moments ago, immediately buried his face into her shoulder, the cow ears on his hood drooping as if even the costume sensed trouble. Alex exhaled sharply. "Mai, today isn't—" But Mai, being Mai, didn't let him finish. Her gaze swept over Lytuna, dripping with mocking sweetness. "A family picnic, huh? Amazing how some people always manage to show up, really know how to take advantage." The air went still. Before Alex could react, A voice rose, calm but razor sharp. "My." Mrs. Puang stood up, one hand resting protectively on Tuna's shoulder. Mai blinked. "Don't misunderstand, Auntie. Why are you here?" Her tone was steady, every word landing like a pin in the silence. Mai swallowed. "I just thought it was strange. You brought her along even though she already has a child. Not exactly a suitable." Alex clenched his fists, ready to step in, but his mother moved before he could. She faced Mai directly, her eyes unwavering. "Mai, let me make something very clear. I do not care whether Tuna has a child." Mai's eyes widened, shock replacing her fake composure. "I'm a woman, Mrs. Puang continued, her voice firm but profoundly sincere. "And because I am a woman, I understand the hardship of a single mother. Tuna raises Henry on her own, never complains, never blames anyone. She chooses kindness no matter how difficult her life is." Right at that moment, Henry wiggled, and the little cowtail on his costume bounced enthusiastically, as if fully agreeing. Alex had to bite back a laugh. It was strangely satisfying. Mai's voice trembled. "So you're taking her side?" Mrs. Puang adjusted her blouse, speaking clearly. "I stand with good people, and today you should leave." Mai froze. Henry clapped his hands. Alex almost lost his composure, trying not to smile. And Tuna? She stood there stunned, unable to believe someone had defended her so directly. A perfect strike. A perfect timing. A moment that made every listener feel completely satisfied. Mai stood frozen, her pride cracking like thin glass. Just moments ago, she had walked in as if she belonged there, confident, polished, determined to leave her mark. Now, after a single confrontation, she looked out of place and cornered. You're asking me to leave?" she managed, voice trembling. Mrs. Puang didn't blink. "I'm telling you this. Today is a family outing, and anyone who brings tension into my family has no place here." Her tone cut through the air like a calm blade. In Tuna's arms, baby Henry, still wearing his soft cow onesie, lifted his round eyes toward Mai. His little face puckered ever so slightly, sensing unease. Then, he let out a tiny whimper and immediately buried his cheek into Tuna's shoulder, fingers clinging to her shirt. Alex bit the inside of his cheek to stop from smiling. Even the baby had spoken without a word. Mai swallowed hard, humiliation washing over her. "Fine, I'll leave, but don't think this is over." She darted a final glare at Tuna, sharp, spiteful, before turning sharply on her heels. Her shoes hammered the ground with stiff, angry steps until she disappeared past the row of trees. The moment she was gone, the meadow seemed to sigh in relief. Henry kicked his legs softly against Tuna's arm, letting out a tiny sound and accidentally pressing the little sound button on his cow outfit. "Moo!" All three adults laughed quietly. Alex exhaled. Well, that was dramatic. "Drama she brought herself," Mrs. Puang said as she returned to the picnic blanket. "Now let's enjoy the day." Tuna was still shaken, her hand gently rubbing slow circles on Henry's back. She swallowed before speaking. "Auntie, thank you. I really didn't want to cause problems." "You didn't," Mrs. Puang cut in immediately. "People show who they are with their words. Today, Mai showed hers. And you..." Her eyes softened. "You've shown yours for a long time." Tuna's breath hitched. Henry let out a tiny coo, pressing his forehead into her collarbone as if sensing her emotion. "Thank you, truly," she whispered. Alex watched silently, warmth spreading in his chest. "All right," he said eventually. Let's reset. Picnic round 2. Slowly, the peaceful rhythm returned. Alex cut fruit, while Henry lay on a soft blanket beside Tuna, waving his arms at the dangling toy she shook above him. Every time the toy chimed, he let out an excited babble, legs kicking in the air. Mrs. Puang sipped the warm tea Tuna made for her. At one point, a butterfly drifted near the blanket. Henry stretched his little hands toward the air, fingers opening and closing, fascinated by the floating colors. When the butterfly fluttered out of reach, he let out a confused noise. Alex lifted him up into his arms, bouncing gently. "My little cow is offended that the butterfly didn't wait for him," he joked. Even Mrs. Puang chuckled softly. They continued eating. Tuna prepared sandwiches and arranged fruit, while occasionally bending down to wipe drool off Henry's chin or reposition his hat so the tiny cow horns stood straight. But no matter how much she tried to focus on the food, her eyes drifted again and again toward the path Mai had taken. Alex noticed and moved closer. "Don't think about her," he murmured. "She won't bother you again. Not with Mom here." Tuna exhaled shakily. "Your mom surprised me today." "She surprised herself too," Alex whispered back. "But she meant every word. She sees you now." Tuna didn't respond. She looked down at Henry, now gnawing on his mitten with complete concentration, blissfully unaware of anything else. Mrs. Puang eased herself down beside them, voice gentle. "Tuna." Tuna lifted her head. "I know your life hasn't been easy," the older woman said. "Raising a child alone, working hard, never complaining. Most people don't understand how heavy that is." Tuna looked down, fingers brushing the tiny cow tail attached to Henry's onesie. "I used to look at you with distance," Mrs. Puang continued softly. "I admit that. But after everything I've seen, you don't need to prove anything to me." The words struck deep. Tuna blinked rapidly, forcing herself not to cry. "Thank you, Auntie," she whispered. "Truly." Henry let out a soft babble, rolling his head to press against her jaw, an innocent, instinctive gesture that warmed the entire moment. Alex memorized it quietly. The rest of the afternoon unfolded in gentle peace. They sat under the trees, fed ducks near a pond, and took photos, mostly of Henry lying on the blanket, arms waving as he gurgled at every new sound or color. He babbled at the leaves. He babbled at the sky. He babbled at Alex's sleeve. Everything amazed him. And the adults smiled because for the first time in a long while, everything felt whole. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden light across the grass, they began packing up. Alex folded the blanket. Tuna strapped a sleepy Henry into his stroller. His eyelids drooped heavily, lips parted in a tiny pout, fingers still loosely gripping the plush tail of his cow outfit. Mrs. Puang looked at him with a gentleness that hadn't existed weeks before. Alex glanced between his mother and Tuna, the two women anchoring his life, and something in him settled firmly for the first time. This wasn't just a picnic. It was a shift, a realignment, a quiet but undeniable beginning of something new, something warm, something steady, something that finally felt like a real family. In this episode, Alex decides to take his mother, Tuna, and baby Henry on a peaceful picnic to give the family a much-needed break after all the recent tension. The day begins beautifully. Warm sunlight, gentle breeze, and quiet moments that make the small family feel closer than ever. Henry, dressed adorably in his cow onesie, brings laughter to everyone with his little reactions and baby sounds. But the calm doesn't last long. Mai suddenly appears at the picnic, clearly intent on stirring up trouble. She throws subtle insults toward Tuna, questioning her place in the family and implying she doesn't belong. Just as the mood seems ready to collapse, an unexpected force steps in: Alex's mother. With a calm but unmistakably firm voice, she confronts Mai directly, defending Tuna without hesitation. She declares that she doesn't care whether Tuna has a child, and even respects her strength as a single mother who never complains and always chooses kindness. Shocked and humiliated, Mai is forced to leave. After she's gone, the atmosphere turns warm again. The family spends the rest of the day peacefully, creating moments that feel like the beginning of a true, united home.